This is a syndicated live program of the network featuring chit-chatting and special conversation on special interest topics, news events and stories through correspondent reports, experts' opinion and stakeholder analysis. Today on Blowout, we look at Lagos State. APC confirms death of member during stampede. Insecurity, presidential guards on high alert over suspicions of coup. On governance, Serap sues FCT minister for account of local government allocations. Labour protests, Falana seeks security for demonstrations from AGF. Governance, Pastor Bakari called for trimming of civil service. Hardship, Fayose says President Tinubu inherited dead economy. On hate speech, Muslim groups calls for the arrest of cleric. On hardship, Atiku blames poor economy in Nigeria against President Tinubu. Bilateral ties, Qatari makes U-turn, schedules President Tinubu's visit. Do not go away. When I come back from this break, I will introduce you to my guests. Death of member during stampede. The All Progressive Congress APC in Lagos State has confirmed the death of one of its members, Comfort Fumilayo Adebanjo, in the bid to purchase seized rice put on sale by the Nigerian Customs Service. The party made the confirmation on Saturday in an obituary message released to mourn the late party member and those feared dead. Recall that the Controller General of Customs, Adewale Adeniyi, flagged of the sale of the seized rice at astronomically price of 10,000 naira per bag of 25 kilograms to cushion the effects of the economic hardship in the country. Adeniyi performed the ceremony at the Yaba Lagos State Office of the service. Since the flag-off of the sale, several Nigerians have been thronging the venue in Lagos with similar exercises around the country. However, the stampede on Friday, which led to the death of 7 persons. Now, on Anchor's chat, I remember sometime last week, I spoke about the effort of the Customs Service to help ameliorate the effect of the hardship of Nigerians by sharing rice, in quotes, at a very subsidized rate. So the Customs Controller General said that a bag of 50 kg of rice will be sold at 20,000 naira, while a bag of 25 kg of rice will be sold at 10,000 naira. However, while I mentioned that it was a very applaudable move by the Controller General, I had some concerns. One, I talked about the decentralization of the venue of sharing this rice, especially looking at the fact that the hardship is biting on all Nigerians, but it appears that the people in the rural communities have not been taken into as much cognizance as they should be taken into, considering the hardship in the country. Now, suggestions were made that the venue for sharing this rice should be decentralized. exercise, there was a stampede and 7 persons died. That is the number that has been recorded and reported, 7 persons. It could be higher. You know, the numbers of people who have been injured have not been stated as at now. Now, the question is, why do we keep making the same mistakes in this country? Why do we keep making a stampede of such nature and people died? Years back, a church in Port Harcourt, River State, was giving out gifts, items as charity to poor and the people that actually are in need. In fact, this announcement was all over social media. People were sharing it on their pages. You know, the videos were all over. People were calling on people, if you have 10,000 naira and you have your NIN, please go to Apapa. If you have 10,000 naira and you have your NIN, go get yourself a bag of rice. Custom is giving rice, you know, at a very subsidized rate. So the call was all over the place. It was all over the country. But then there was no adequate provision for security to ensure that this exercise goes on well. And now that is the challenge that we are facing. Honestly, at this point, again, the value of human lives in the country. It's so sad that it appears that lives in this country are not as valued as it should be. Now, the persons that died, sadly, are mere chronologicals. This is a country where Fulani herdsmen massacre people. This is a country where bandits kill people, and the people in power do not say a word in recognition of the death of these people, and you know, to condole the families of the people who lost their loved ones. This is a country where the elites appear to be the celebrated ones. I mean, an elite died not too long ago, and you know, the who is who in the country has been falling over themselves to pay visits to the family of this man. This family, the who is who in this country has been falling over themselves to write condolence messages on social media and on the press. Just one man and his family. While my heart goes out to this family and I'm saddened by the death of this man, there are also people who are dying in this country daily as a result of a making that is not under their control. People are dying in their homes, in their farms, and the powers that be appear not to take cognizance of the fact that Nigerians are dying of insecurity, and a word is not being said. So it is time that we set our priorities right and we begin to value the lives of the common men, and we begin to value the lives of Nigerians. Because in all honesty, if lives were being valued and placed as a priority as against whatever amount that may be generated from the sales of these food items, knowing that there is hardship in the land and the turnover might be unprecedented, the customs service should have made adequate provision for crowd control. They should have decentralized the venue for sharing this rice. They should have. And at the time that they observed that the crowd was growing and could possibly get out of control, they should have shut down that exercise for that day and perhaps postpone it to a later date while they plan on how to decentralize this thing and get it done in a way that will not result to fatalities. Why do we keep making the same mistake over? This is painful. This death is avoidable. Now, on the other hand, when you look at this from another perspective, it is a pointer to the level of hardship in the country. It is a pointer to how much Nigerians are suffering. It cannot be swept under the carpet that this country is facing a crisis. Regardless of how much the government tries to not take responsibility for what's going on, no matter how much the government tries to absolve itself from what is going on, the fact remains that people are hungry, people are angry, people are agitated day by day. So while the government is making excuses and trying to absolve itself, what exactly is the government doing to mitigate the effects of this hunger? For people to have turned out a mass to buy this rice, the turnout was so large that it led to a stampede. That should send a message across to the people responsible, the people in power, that Nigerians are hungry. Now, if we think so much as at what is trending in the news right now, the issue of insecurity seems to have taken the back burner as against the hunger in the land. You know, it's when people are thoroughly fed that they will come out to cry about hunger, and that they will come out to cry about insecurity. Right now, the father and the mother is worried about where the next meal is coming from. Mind you, worrying about the next meal doesn't mean that they have eaten that moment. They are hungry and wondering where the next meal is coming from. The purchasing power of Nigerians have been drastically reduced due to hyperinflation. Now, as at yesterday, I went to buy some food items from a popular big shopping mall in Port Harcourt. And Indomie Super Pack was being sold for 25,000 naira. This is the current price as at this morning. On Saturday evening, Indomie Super Pack was being sold for 17,500 naira, and in less than 24 hours. Between Saturday and Sunday afternoon, Indomie Super Pack is currently being sold, as I speak, is currently being sold for 25,000 naira. The question is this: why don't we have price control in this country? While there is inflation, there is hardship, there is dollar volatility, you know, custom import duty is on the rise, electricity tariff is on the high, and the government is no longer pay electricity subsidy. And all these things, directly or indirectly, is affecting the small medium enterprise, it's affecting the startups in business. Regardless of the situation, certain Nigerians are taking advantage of this to inflate goods unnecessarily. Why should Indomie be sold, Super Pack, not Hungry Man, by the way? Why should it be sold for 25,000 naira in this economy? And there is no regulatory body. There is nobody talking about it. How will the poor man feed? These are the situations that is making it as if the economy is spiraling out of control. It's as if the country is snowballing fast into famine, because at this point, that is what is going to happen. When the poor man is unable to afford basic needs, when the Ditol was bought for 10,000 naira, when the poor man is unable to feed. Now, let's break down, let's look at the economics of Dettol. One item. Dettol is mainly used or is in high demand by hospitals and health centers, as the case may be. Now, that's just one item from other items they need in keeping the hospital neat. Now, Dettol moved from 1,800 to 2,000 plus, and now it's being sold at 10,000 naira. That's just Dettol. The hospital would need to buy other disinfectants that are stronger than Dettol. The hospital would need to buy detergents. Their prices also has astronomically risen. The hospital as well will have to buy medicine. A lot are imported, and this at the ports they have to pay import duties, which has already been hyperinflated, as the case may be. The hospital again has to buy medicine that are also locally produced, and these manufacturing companies are claiming that the cost of production is high, thereby affecting the price of medicine for end users. Now, when you look at this, the hospital in question is also not a charity organization. It is a business, and it has to make profit, because it's why it was established in the first place. Now, the hospital also has to pay for electricity bill, which the tariff has been increased. Subsidy has been removed from electricity bill. Now, some of these hospitals have to run on 24-hour electricity supply, because of patients on oxygen and patients, that are in incubators. Now, that's on one side. Now, if, let's say there is epileptic power supply in Nigeria, of course, there is epileptic power supply. Nigerians are not getting value for money for the increments in electricity. So, on one hand, in order to support the epileptic power supply, they now have to go for diesel, which is being sold for over 8,000 naira, or for petrol, PMS, which is being sold for 750 naira to 800 naira, as the case may be, because, by the way, the oil and gas sector, the independent oil marketers, are not properly regulated. So they are selling, they peg their prices at whatever price that suits them. Back to the conversation. That was an aside. Now, back to the conversation. I'm using a hospital to explain the situation in Nigeria as of now. So, if this hospital now gathers its overhead expenditures, if it gathers its costs from increased electricity tariff to prices of gas, of fuel, and of diesel, to increase cost of medicine, to buying Dettol, back to Dettol, from 2,000 plus to 10,000 naira. That's the price as of yesterday evening. By the way, it may have increased by now. So now, when the hospital buys all these things, this is over 200% increment in every single item. How do you think the hospital will give subsidized bills to patients? How do you think patients, the Nigerian man whose wage award is 30,000 naira, 30,000 naira, by the way, how do you think the Nigerian man whose wage award is 30,000 naira and he has a family of 3 will be able to afford medical care, will be able to buy food, will be able to pay school fees, will be able to survive in this economy? So at the end of the day, it breaks down to the nitty-gritty. The government is putting policies in place and promising us that it's going to get better. The government should also look at regulatory bodies, price control for the prices of things in this country, to make sure that Nigerians, citizens of this country, do not take advantage of this situation and exploit fellow Nigerians who are already dying and groaning under the weight of the current hardship. It is important that the food situation in this country should be considered as a matter of emergency. Price control should be considered as a matter of emergency. Now, back to customs. Just in case customs will decide to resume this exercise, I will still make an appeal that the venue for sharing this rice, the cost of actually, the venue for selling this rice at very subsidized rate be decentralized. It should be spread across all local governments in the country. The customs in every state should take responsibility to make sure that it is decentralized and shared across all local governments in the country, so it can actually get to the people who actually need this. Because there is also a very high possibility that merchants and businessmen and women will go to these places and buy rice in quantity in order to resell. It's also possible that this rice will be bought from people who have already gone there to perhaps buy the rice at the rate of 10,000 naira for 25 kg and 50,000 naira per and 20,000 naira per 50 kg. It is also possible that businessmen and women who are into food business will also go there to buy from the people who already bought at a higher price. So how is this being controlled to ensure that the persons that are actually in desperate need of this item will buy them? Now, let's also come back to the nitty-gritty of the economic situation. I do not think anybody that is in desperate need of food can afford 20,000 naira to buy a bag of rice. Perhaps the powers that be still do not understand how bad it is. People cannot afford that. As far as I'm concerned, the people who are going to customs office to buy rice for 10,000 naira, to buy rice for 20,000 naira, are people who can conveniently feed at least 2 square meals in this country. I'm talking about people who cannot afford to eat 3 square meals. People who cannot afford one meal in a day. They are the people that actually need this rice. So if the custom genuinely wants to help Nigerians at this moment, do not forget, this was a forfeited item. Some of them were seized. It should be sold at little or no cost. Why not bring down the cost of this rice to 5,000 naira? Do not forget, wage award is 30 or 35,000 naira. And in some states, it has not been implemented. NLC is about to go on strike, but the wage award has not been implemented in some states and in some local governments as well. So where are these people going to get 10,000 naira and 20,000 naira to buy rice? I mean, people who are genuinely in need of these food items. So custom can do better by bringing down the price, crash the price for the people to actually afford it. Crash the price so that philanthropists can buy and give out to people who genuinely need this. Work with NGOs, work with people who genuinely are in touch with the needy and the helpless. Go to the streets and give out this rice for free to Nigerians that genuinely need it. Because the truth is this again, Nigerians that genuinely need this rice may not be able to afford it at all as it stands. People are collapsing, people are dying. Nigerians are committing suicide because of hopelessness. There is hopelessness in the air. President Bola Tinubu, you came to Nigeria on the mandate of the people and you promised renewed hope. Your agenda is renewed hope. Is this the renewed hope Nigerians voted for? Dear President, while I understand that the economy of this country is in a state of emergency, there is hunger and there is crisis. Nigeria has never gone as low as it has. The people still have trust and belief in you that you can turn the tide of things around. I am also very sure that you have your blueprints before you came out to be the president. Like you said, Emiloko, it's my turn. Mr. President, we look towards you. Do not forget, leadership trumps excuse. And that is why it's as if Nigerians do not understand. When you come out to say, I met the economy this way, it is this way, Nigerians want to actually leave the renewed hope agenda. Nigerians believe that you would do it. They voted you based on their trust in your capacity to turn the tide of the economy and the country. And Mr. President, we have strong hope and trust that you will do what you need to do. You said you did it in Lagos State. Nigeria beckons. Nigeria needs you right now. That'll be all on Anchor's Chat today. Do not go away. When I come back, I'll introduce you to my guest and we'll go right into the show.
When peace like
the Ejogu family of Umunna in Amuju in Isu local government area of Imo State cheerfully mourn the demise of their daughter, sister and mother, prophetess Kola Ijoma Ejogu, whose sad event occurred on Saturday, 5th of January 2024 at UPTH. Burial arrangement, night of tribute. Date is Thursday, the 29th of February 2024. Time is 4 p.m. and venue is Wish Complex, Wish Avenue Radio Estate, NTA Road, Uzoba, Port Harcourt. Burial service, Order of God of Abraham Ministries. Date Sunday, the 3rd of March 24, time 10 a.m. prompt. Venue Umunna in Izu local government area of Imo State. Retirement follows immediately after service. She is survived by Mrs. Roslyn Ubonna, mother, Raphael, Richard and Wisdom sons, Sonny Ejogu, Ugochukwu Ejogu, Chukwudi Ejogu as brothers, and Nkechienre Sebastian sister. May her soul rest in peace. Sign Apostle Sonny Ejogu and senior leader Raphael Ukudiri Ejogu on behalf of the family.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history,
We are one people, all of us.
leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
from the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Welcome back. You're still on Blowout on Atlantic Television Network. With me on the show today is Fineface Dumnamene Fineface. Mr. Fineface is the Executive Director, Advocacy Center. Good morning, Mr. Fineface.
Good morning to you. Thanks for having me. Good morning to you all.
And I have with me again Honorable Gomba Fineman. Gomba Fineman is a socio-political analyst. It's a pleasure to have you, Mr. Gomba.
Good morning, all Nigeria.
And on to the stories. The Presidential Guards Brigade has been put on high alert following unusual movements leading to suspicions of a coup plot in Nigeria. It was learned on Sunday that the suspicions prompted emergency meetings involving the commander of the Presidential Guards Brigade, Colonel Adebisi Onasanya, President Bola Tinubu, and the Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila. The Presidential Guards Brigade was placed on high alert after unusual armored corps movements spurred coup suspicion. Last week, Colonel Onasanya met with the President and Chief of Staff twice within 20 hours. They have also placed key brigades under watch due to planned protests, a top presidency source told press. There has been tension in the country amid the current hardship, rising inflation and high cost of living following the removal of fuel subsidy and floating of the Naira by President Tinubu's administration. The floating of the Naira allows the market forces to determine its value. The policies have pushed up the prices of goods and services astronomically, increased the rate of inflation and worsened hardship in the country. Last week, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, warned people calling for a coup over the current economic hardship in Nigeria to desist from such. Musa, who said the armed forces will continue to protect the country's democracy, warned that the long arms of the law would soon catch up with the proponents of coup d'etat. While fielding questions from journalists when he inaugurated the main entrance of the 6th Division Nigerian Army and Officers Transit Accommodation in Rivers State, the Chief of Defense Staff admitted that the country was going through economic challenges. He, however, insisted that having a military coup in the country was not an option. He said the military would protect Nigeria's democracy, as according to him, Nigerians want democracy and the country does better under democracy. He said the military will continue to support democracy, adding that the people calling for coup d'etat are evil people who don't mean well for Nigeria. He wants such people to be very careful because the law will soon catch up with them. Now, the story right now is that presidential guards have been placed on high alert over suspicions of coup. Now, this story first broke last week when the Chief of Defense Staff actually talked about it. And he was telling Nigerians that whoever is calling for coup will not succeed. And also reiterated their commitment to defending democracy. Now, Honorable Fineface, you understand the polity well, and you're not, you have always been an advocate for democracy. But recently, your stance has been strong. You've been vocal about issues concerning governance in this country. What is your reaction to this story?
Yeah, my reaction to this story would be that it's unfortunate something like this is coming up, and I'm not also surprised that statement of this nature is emanating from some quarters. Putting the presidential guards on alert is something that we long expected. I think this is barely about a few months, not even up to a year, since this government came into office. And I know quite well that about 4 months into the administration, rumors of coup has been coming and stuff like that because of the way the economy has been managed, the way the president has been going about his leadership and stuff like that. But then I think that the current development may not be coming out of nothing. There could be some people that are nursing the ambition of overthrowing the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And if that is what they are planning, to me, I think I would join the army chief to say that that is not the best solution. We cannot roll back on the to date. The worst democratic rule or government is better than the best military you can think of. We are talking about enhanced human rights today is because we are running a democracy. If we go into the issue of having a military government in place, then you can see that a lot of things will be happening. We know what happened in the days past when the military was in charge. Even if we are still younger at those times, we have read about it as governance students, political students, we have read about this and we knew what happened. It's just like when some youth are calling for war. And I ask them to watch television and see what is happening in Ukraine, what is happening in Israel, and what is happening also in other countries where we have this, in Gaza where we have this war. So I think what has happened is that as the presidential guard have been put on alert, I think they should be on the alert. The military chiefs and the security chiefs should come together and ensure that we do not have any interruption into the current democratic dispensation that we have. We've nurtured since 1999, and we'll continue to nurture it because we are giants of Africa, and we cannot go into what we preach against as a people of Nigeria. So I think we have been battling coup. We are currently the ECOWAS chairman, and we've been battling the situation of coup that we had in Niger, what we have in Mali and other countries on the African continent, and we cannot afford to have that in Nigeria. All we need to do is that those who are nursing the ambition of letting military to take over in Nigeria should close ranks with Mr. President and ensure that we have a good governance, good economy, that we improve what is happening. But the challenge I must put to Mr. President is that if he's not being very smart in issues that affect the people of Nigeria, then time is running out on him, because people cannot continue to suffer and be shouting and nothing is being done, because the hunger in the land is beyond what we have ever had since 1999 to date. And that is why you have some of the dissentment that is going on across the country and people talking about coup. One of the reasons why the military always take over power is when they say that there is corruption in the system, bad governance and what have you. We are having some of those incidences manifesting currently. But I think that that is not still the route and the way to go in terms of having to seize power so that we can amend what we currently have. What we currently have requires democratic system of good economic team that will be able to drive the nation and put us on the path of growth, development, and address the issue of hunger, unemployment that we have in the country. I believe that if we are able to put some of these things together within the shortest possible time, then we would have addressed some of the challenges that we have as a people. So let the presidential guard be on alert, let the military chiefs do all they can to ensure that there is no coup d'etat in Nigeria. It is not something we can welcome at this point in time.
Now, do you think that the rumor of this coup that is ongoing could be as, do you think whoever is trying to incite this might be borrowing a leaf from Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali? Because if they've been able to do it in these countries and they've been able to withstand world powers and they've been able to not care about ECOWAS sanctions, and while ECOWAS is sanctioning, they are sanctioning their own as well, right? And while world powers are taking their decision, they are also making threats as well. And the coup plotters are saying like, okay, it's working here. Maybe it can work in Nigeria, even though Nigeria seems to run an entirely different system. But do you think that they are being emboldened by what is happening in Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali?
The possibility is there. In political science, there's what we call the reference group theory. The reference group theory talks about when a group of people try to borrow a leaf from how other people are living to live the same life. It is also similar to why some youths in the Niger Delta go into breaking pipelines, stealing crude oil, to also have money and live like politicians in Abuja that are also enjoying money that they stole from, allegedly stole from the sale of the refined products that they imported into the country. So from that reference group theory, you will see that those who are the coup plotters are looking at what has happened in other countries in Africa, because this thing is like a wave. I can also bring in the system theory, whereby what affects one finger affects the other finger. So they are looking at what has happened in other parts of Africa, how those people have been able to manage that and then try to replicate it in Nigeria. But Nigeria is big brother Africa. We are one of the largest democracies we have in Africa, considering our population. We've also been able to run our governance from 1999 to date, and we've been able to manage our issues. So I think this shouldn't be an exception to what we have had on ground. And we should not interrupt what we have. I believe that those who are thinking of seizing power should rather bring the ideas to Mr. President and then work with him to address the issues we have in the country. And I must tell you, Choma, that it is difficult to say that seize power in Nigeria without the knowledge of Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Inspector General Police, and Chief of Naval Staff, or even the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. All those security chiefs, it is difficult for anybody to seize power without their knowledge. And I see the appointment that Mr. President has made so far, right from the time he came to office, being pointed towards the direction of not making anybody to think of coup and being able to succeed. Who is the Chief of Army Staff? Who is the Chief of Defense Staff? Who is the Inspector General Police? They are all men that one way or the other have worked with the President while he was governor of Lagos State. So it is his men that are on the saddle working with him. So as a result of that, I try to wave with the wave of my hand to say that anybody can successfully be able to carry out coup d'etat in Nigeria and tumble the government of Mr. President. But I think that while that is not far from what could happen, because there could be some dissidents within the rank and file of the military that can take over this action, even overthrow their own men to take some action. Junior officers can also cause this problem. We know what happened in some other countries where even the presidential guard were able to, tumble their government and things like that. But I don't think this is what we should be talking about in Nigeria today. What we should focus on is how to bring about good governance, how to put food on the table of the common man, how to make sure that we provide security for lives and properties, and ensure that we have economic prosperity. That is the direction we should be going. Nobody should think about coup. It is not the best way to go, and I condemn anybody planning this coup in its entirety. I want Mr. President to do all it can. If it takes him to wake up this morning and reshuffle the governments of the country in terms of rejinking the security architecture, he should do it so that we have a system that nobody should be talking about coup. Because I know quite well that it is not easy for anybody, but I do not think that what is currently goes to the extent that a military rule will be able to give us something good. By the time the constitution is suspended, everything is suspended, National Assembly disbanded, and you cannot work on this layer. We can't even come to studio like this to talk again to you, to tell you what is happening, because everywhere will be secularized. And you see security everywhere, cracking down on people violating human rights. So we cannot go into what is becoming outdated in other parts of the world and bring it to Nigeria.
Okay, I'll still come back to men as the
security chiefs.
Security chiefs. I'll still come back to that and look at it critically, with the current realities in Nigerian politics. But Mr. Gomba,
yes.
Now, I took my time to, understudy coups in Nigeria, and I realized that one of the reasons the coup during Babangida's military regime succeeded was because Babangida was in Dodan barracks, right? And it was easy for the military men at that point, the people that planned the coup, to stage a coup inside Dodan barracks because he was very accessible. Now, moving forward, after that coup, and his ADC, together with Sani Abacha, saved him and returned him to power, Babangida was able to expedite the building of Aso Rock. That was why Aso Rock was actually expedited, in order to take the president and the first family completely away from people who might plan another coup. Now, when you look at the architecture of Aso Rock and the reason behind that, do you think having a coup in Nigeria, because before you hold a coup, you have to hold the president first, right? Now, do you think the president will be that accessible right now that he's on high alert? He has been placed on high alert. Security around him has been tightened. And of course, it's living within the, let's say, where he can be easily accessed by these coup plotters, as the case may be. How possible do you think it will be for these coup plotters to even achieve their evil intention?
Thank you very much. I myself am Honorable Gomba Faima Mishai. Well, from the look of things of Nigeria now, we know that Nigeria is lacking of control. A control in the sense that the presidency, Bola Tinubu, is lack of control, is lacking of control in this country. And this is Nigeria to do. In that very particular coup that they are, they're supposed to know that their coup are not balanced, in the sense the Bola Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, him as a president, he has not totally known the people he's working with as a president. That is the reason why the issues that is having today in Nigeria, there is no control on it. The only control of it that they know is for them to hijack some certain things of Nigeria. And those leaders are not the leaders to be control of today.
Okay. Now, back to you, Mr. Feynman. When you talk about the security chiefs being close persons to the president, especially when he was the governor of Lagos State. Now, in Nigerian politics is quite peculiar. In Nigerian politics, it's not new that a man's closest ally betrayed him.
Yeah, it's not new. That is very true. It's not new.
So do you think having confidence that these security chiefs are the president's right-hand men, or they've had a history together, is enough to guarantee that whatever it is that is being planned will not happen?
It's relatively enough.
Isn't everybody a suspect?
Everyone is a suspect. I know they said you should trust nobody, but you have to trust someone. And the person you choose to work with is the person you've chosen to trust, despite the fact that you have to trust no one. And looking at what Mr. President did, when he came to power, he picked, let me say, Lagbaja is a junior person to some persons that were supposed to assume the office he's currently holding as the chief of army staff. Now, what he did was to pick him, promoted him, appointed him, and retired every senior general that wouldn't respect him. And they all went home. Tens of generals went home, retired, when their time was yet to get there, because the moment the chief of army staff is higher than the rank you have to go home. Okay. So that you can respect him. You can, if he gives command, order, the people that are senior to him in service, senior generals, will not respect him. So what they do is to send those other people that may not respect him when he gives order home. And you put your person. That is what he did. So now, we have these men in place. I know quite well that betrayal is one of the tenets, one of the currencies, and one of the things you can see in Nigerian politics. But in the security circle, I don't see that as high as what we have in the political circle, in terms of those who are made by godfathers to prevent politics and the politics of clientele, whereby they handpick people, put there, and they expect 100% loyalty. Okay. And when they don't get the 100% loyalty, they begin to say that this person has betrayed me. So what we currently have in place, the current security architecture we have in place, the security chiefs, are people that I felt are Mr. President's bone men. And there are people that cannot betray him. For example, the IGP was serving him in Lagos, while he was governor of Lagos State, was working with him. The Lagbaja himself was also working with him there, and other ones. So I think that if there is a betrayal and a crack in the security architecture to the extent that some junior officers or senior officers are able to seize power in Nigeria, then those people that the president have trusted and saddled with the responsibility of providing security of Nigeria territorial integrity are the people behind what is currently happening. You heard what happened in Port Harcourt of recent when I think one of the senior officers, GCO, spoke about the issue of coup and what have you. So he was trying to like, the Bible says out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. There are some things that may have been going on underground that made him to sound that warning to people that may be thinking of coup in Nigeria. And I think that that warning has to go down. If there is anybody that is looking at what is currently happening and seeing that coup is the solution, I will tell them it's not the solution. They may just be doing it to unseat Mr. President. But where are they putting Nigeria in the committee of states across the world? They will roll back what we have gained over the years and we'll have to start afresh. So I think they need to shift that their sword and work with Mr. President to ensure that the economy is revived, the people have benefit of what the government is in place. And if there are people that don't want Mr. President, 2027 is about the corner. If 2027 is too far, the National Assembly is there to impeach him and get him out of office. And we have someone else to come in place. But I do not think that we should use an unconstitutional means of change of power in time in Nigeria like coup d'etat. I don't support that in its ramification.
Okay. On to the next story. Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project has filed a lawsuit against Nigeria's governors and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Mr. Nyesom Wike, over their failure to account for the alleged missing 40 trillion naira federal allocations meant for local governments in the states and the FCT. The suit followed the damning revelations by former President Muhammadu Buhari, who stated that if the money from the federation account to the state account is about 100 million naira, 50 million naira will be sent to the chairman, but he will sign that he received 100 million naira. The chairman will pocket the balance and share it. In the suit filed last Friday at the Federal High Court, Abuja, SERAP is asking the court to direct and compel the governors to publish details of the local government allocations and actual disbursements to local governments in their respective states from 1999 to date. SERAP is also asking the court to compel and direct Mr. Wike to publish details of federal allocations meant for the area councils in the FCT and the actual disbursement of the allocations to the area councils in the FCT from 1999 to date. Now, local government allocations. Don't you think this is long overdue, this particular issue?
I don't think it's long overdue. I know quite well that they from 1999 to date, but I don't think it's long overdue because issues that relates to crime has no expiry dates. Anytime you can bring it up. But my worry about this suit by SERAP is that it may end up being one of those suits that will not, make any impact, because you are asking for an account of what has transpired between 1999 to date, and for the governors, including the FCT, amounting to about 40 trillion naira. I don't think they are going to be able to do anything. But what I think, can be done, silence will be treason. So when you see things like this, you are able to speak. You also speak out about it. But I think that the matter and the onus now lies on the courts to look into the matter, looking at the evidences presented by SERAP, and then compare the council areas in Abuja and the 36 state governors to give account of this money. And if they could give account of this money, it will be fine, because it will help us be able to know how the money was received and what it was used for. I know it's going to be a complex of getting this done, but just an example of what SERAP is asking for that we have had is the forensic audits of the Niger Delta Development Commission, whereby there was an audit of the account of the NDDC from inception in 2000 till when it was done under Akpabio as the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs. But today, the report is not anywhere in public domain for anybody to see. So these are some of the challenges we are having when it has to do with people having to account for money. So it is always better to track and follow the money in relation to when it is happening, not after it has happened for a very long time. Then you ask that to happen. So as part of that suit, we should have a situation whereby SERAP is demanding from the governors. Some governors just came into office, so they should also begin to publish their, let me say, annual collections, annual allocation from the federation account. So that will be one of the ways that we can always get it, because even when you talk about the publication of some of these things, a lot of states in Nigeria don't even publish their budgets. So you don't even know how much they are going to get, how much and how much they are going to get from internally generated revenue, how much they are going to get from loans and other investment to fund the budget. Lagos State does. Many states do not. Rivers, we are in Rivers. We have not seen the Rivers State budget for the past 9 years. Let me say 8 years, we've not seen. So I think these are some of the challenges that we have. And it has to do with good governance on the part of those who have chosen to lead us. They don't need to be told to give account of some of these things because the positions they hold is in trust for the people. And it is the commonwealth of the people. And they need to give account of what they are doing, to be accountable to the people. It is not rocket science for them to do this, except they have ulterior motive, which we know that majority of those who are holding these positions do have, and that is why they don't account for some of these things. So it's a welcome development. This is being done, and we look forward to what the court is going to pronounce on this particular matter.
Now, when you look at this matter critically, do you think this could be one of the reasons why most of the state governors insist on transition chairman? They insist on local, on caretaker chairman, because if elections were to be properly held, in the first place, as it stands, local governments are said to be autonomous. I don't know how effective that is, by the way, but they are said to be autonomous. If they have autonomy and money comes directly to the local governments, why should the states be involved? That's one question. The second question, could these allocations be one of the reasons why state governors are still grappling with a stronghold and control over the local government areas, hence the caretaker and transition chairman?
Exactly, you are very correct in that last aspect of it. It's because of the resources that are accruing to the council areas that you have the governors holding on to the council chairman, selecting who gets there, who gets what, how and when, because the money that comes, they sit down, they share it. How much comes to the person at the chief executive, not the states, and then how much goes to them as the council chairman. And at the council level, those other local bourgeoisies and local politicians that succeeded in supporting the chairman to come in office, they will now tell the man that this is how much is remaining. After the governor has taken his part, this is what is remaining. That one will now tell you how much you give to him, how much you use for the payment of salary, how much you keep for yourself for development. So they sit down at the local government level and share this money among themselves. It is a racketeering, house that we have in relation to governance in Nigeria. That is why we keep talking about autonomy at the council level, and even having INEC to conduct election at the local government level if we can amend our constitution. Because when we have the state's electoral commission to conduct this election, you see people being handpicked into positions. You see governors nominating the people that get there. And in every state, you see a situation whereby if the party at the state level is PDP or APC or any party, you see members of their party sweeping all the council areas because they want everybody to be on the same line. No opposition, nobody that will resist what they say. And they come into one umbrella and they talk about loyalty, that loyalty 99% is not loyalty, it has to be 100%. So they share these resources, and development does not trickle down to the people in relation they are getting at that level. So this is what you see, and it's a very big issue that we have. The local government system is a third tier of government recognized by the Constitution, and they are supposed to directly receive their allocation from the Federal Allocation Committee so that they can use their money, manage their money, and develop their own areas. But here you have a system whereby the council areas are subservient to the governors, and the governors manipulate them the way they want, and they don't even have a say in whatever they do. And it becomes an issue that whenever the resources come, they just share it and wait for the next month to come, and they just share it. It is also because of how this money is being shared that you hardly see any council area across Nigeria that is doing anything serious about internally generated revenue, because everybody just go cap in hand every 30 days to collect their allocation. They share, they relax. And in all of these 774 councils we have across the country, majority of them don't even stay at their council headquarters. They stay in the state headquarters or outside there where they receive these resources and they share it. So it's a big problem that we need to see how we could solve by strengthening the local government administration in Nigeria in such a way that they can receive their resources, they can spend it to ensure that development and dividend of democracy trickle down to the ordinary people at the local government level.
Yeah. Now, Honorable Gomba, building on what Mr. Feynman has said, do you think this whole scenario engenders development at the local government level? That's number one. Number two, are these offices being strictly controlled by state governors in order to use it as a form of compensation for their proteges in government?
Well, first of all, the present government now in Sin, Fubara, he confirmed that in Rivers State, the local government councils, it cannot be controlled by the present government. Why those revenue, just as our brother was saying, that the revenue they always issue to the council, they don't see it being the local government locations. And the present government is looking a way out to see how it can balance the local council in Rivers State because of the previous government that did not make him to understand the strategy of government as it's coming in. And they're having some issues in council, which those issues, if the government, the present governor, did not come into it, it can't be controlled. It will become a challenge to the masses and the local councils.
What kind of issues?
The issues that is there, the leaders, we call them leaders in our various councils, they are not doing anything with the local revenue. It is when